Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and we have a very special guest on the show today. We have Sam Starns of elopements.com and samstarns.com. Sam, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, honored to be here. Thanks for having me, Gresh.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Sam so you hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Sam is a TEDx speaker, elopement expert, and movement leader in adventure elopement photography. With nearly a decade of wedding experience, Sam has traveled to numerous states and countries for elopements to jumpstart the transformation for real change to encourage anyone to become their authentic self. Sam Starnes' debut book, Elope Your Life, is set to release in November 2020. Sam, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Heck yeah, you bet.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to kind of start, I guess, from the beginning, hear a little bit more about your story. What led you to get started with all the awesome things you're working on?
Yeah, so I went to school. I think what a lot of people can relate to is I went to school for something completely different than what I'm doing now. And I have a couple different degrees in different things. And I worked in a couple different sectors that sort of loosely tied to one of my degrees. But it really started, this whole elopement photography thing, it really started when I got married. I had wanted to elope, and my husband, Brian, said, no, I really want a ceremony. And, you know, he's really close with his family and everything. And I was like, okay, let's compromise. So we had a wedding. And so, you know, close to the day, he was like, man, I really wish we would have eloped. I'm like, yeah, me too.
I know what I was talking about.
Yeah. So, you know, afterwards I had done part-time wedding photography for several years prior. And I realized afterward that there are other people like me out there, and it's an absolutely valid alternative to your day, especially if a big wedding doesn't speak to you and you're more outdoorsy, or you're more unconventional than, you know, what society says you have to do for your wedding. So I started niching down into adventure elopement photography almost immediately after we got married, and the rest is history. It kind of took off from there.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And you said the operative words, your day. And I think so many times when you have that experience, you forget and it becomes everybody else's day. You start to lose yourself. So I love that you obviously had that feeling, but you found so many other people, it sounds too, that wanted to do and capture that moment.
Yeah. It's crazy because those societal expectations and those family and friends expectations, they're really insidious and they snowball. And it starts with one person making a
One
seemingly
comment.
innocuous request. Yeah. And then it just snowballs from there. And then all of a sudden you're running this circus that's not really about what you wanted in the first place.
Absolutely. So I know you touched on it a little bit, and I did as well, about how exactly you serve the clients you work with. Could you take us through a little bit more on how that process works? And for those that aren't familiar, what exactly is adventure elopement?
Yeah. So an adventure elopement, starting back with the definition of elopement, because I feel like a lot of people have this definition in their brain of, you know, an
Vegas.
elopement is a last minute courthouse wedding, shotgun wedding, shame,
Yeah.
you know, disapproval from the family. And it really isn't that anymore, which is super cool. I really consider the definition of elopement not necessarily running away from something, but running to something. And that something is your relationship, who you are as a person, who you are together. And so these adventure elopements are really out of the ordinary. They're not at traditional venues. They're at national parks. They're you know, at destination locations. They're in the redwoods, the Oregon coast. I mean, really, name a place and you can probably get married there. And so there's a lot of opportunity to have a couple choose a location that really reflects them. And so that adventure aspect doesn't necessarily need to be what a lot of adventure elopements are: hiking. A lot of them are. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be hiking. You can hike a little bit. You can go on a hot air balloon ride. You can take a helicopter ride and go dog sledding on a glacier. You can have a picnic on the coast. There's lots of different options. So that's sort of what adventure elopements are. And they're really catered to you. And so part of my process is I meet with the couple as a consult before we even book, and we really brainstorm on what their day can be. And I start with saying, hey, let's imagine your best day ever, no holds barred. What day is going to make you say hell yeah? And we go from there, because then we can add on looking fine as hell. We
Yeah.
can add on the wedding ceremony and everything, but that basis is a day that is you, or it's what you want to do. And we don't need to worry about, oh, well, I'd love to hike on my best day ever, or I'd love to go on a hot air balloon on my best day ever. Oh, but the dress, so maybe we'll just do this. No, 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 no. That's not how that works. We think about this awesome epic day that you want to relive over and over again. And then we add in committing yourselves to one another. So I serve my couples in that way. I also serve them with planning information and ways to make their elopement special. And I serve them in creating and documenting this amazing day and helping them find the power within themselves to go, yes, I want to elope. This is what we're going to do. This is totally us. And we're excited about it.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And, it's definitely, I can imagine the excitement of you having and speaking with clients of just basically imagining your most awesome day and being able to kind of work backwards from there and figure out how to make that into a day that you remember for the rest of your life and to do something really, really exciting. And I think when you start to kind of rewrite the rules, so to speak, and you're not doing what everybody else says that you should do, it becomes your day, as we kind of talked about earlier. It really becomes, to me, probably even more exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it opens up a world of possibilities when
Right.
people don't think of it as a wedding or an elopement first. They think of it as this amazing adventure.
Yeah, and why not start your wedding and your life together off on the phenomenal foot and doing it that way? So absolutely love that. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call your secret sauce, and this could be for you or your business or a combination of both. But what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
I think, yeah, I think there are a couple different things. A lot of photographers, um, book a couple, and there's a varying amount of conversation between the booking and the elopement or the wedding. And I think part of what makes me a little bit more unique is, some photographers get on a consult call, some don't. They just book via email. Perfect example. Yesterday, I was on a consult call with a couple that hadn't even booked or anything for over 2 hours because we were brainstorming. And I really value getting to know them. And even if they don't end up booking me, I have resources on my website that they can use, all this good stuff. And we keep in contact. I tell my couples, stalk me on social media, I will stalk you back. I feel like it is a great way to organically get to know them as they go through life. And we get on Zoom calls and all this different stuff. So we're really, really connected with the information I provide, the client portal, all that jazz. And then a lot of photographers at the end send a slideshow and a gallery via an email, but we get back on Zoom, we catch up. And so I don't have to be sad when I, let my birdies fly away from the nest on the elopement day and say goodbye. We get to see each other again and catch up, because at that point we've developed a relationship. And I'm really, really honored and lucky and grateful that a huge majority of my couples I still keep in contact with. I just flew to Georgia pre-COVID and hung out with a couple that eloped 3 years ago, and I still keep that sort of relationship with a lot of my couples. So that's one thing. And the other, I think, is just really taking the elopement and the wedding photography and those aspects one step forward and empowering and helping people see that they are powerful and unique enough to have this transfer into the rest of their life as a catalyst.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely what I saw. I could just feel the energy from you speaking, but also can imagine like sitting down and getting to figure out exactly like what it would an awesome day be like, and then working backwards from there. And I imagine the relationship gets to build and grow from there. And I think, and kind of right in alignment with that, I think so many times we forget about the human aspect of business. We forget about that opportunity to really, sit down and have a conversation to find out how things are going and really to connect. So I love that obviously you have a really exciting day, but it isn't just that day. It extends so much further to with your clients and the people you work with.
Heck yeah, yeah. And that relationship really goes to the point of, I don't even really, I don't like saying the word clients because
Mm-hmm.
it feels so much more transactional. And so I say my couples, my
Mm-hmm.
people, because
Yeah.
that feels really more reflective of the relationship that we have.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And so many times we forget that we can kind of rewrite the script in whatever we want to, whether it be our elopement or our lives or our business. And I love that you're reminding us of that so much. And so I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
So a couple of different things. If we're talking about physical things that you can go out and buy or utilize that are more tangible, I use Dubsado, and it is fantastic. If you don't know what it is, it's a client management software system, and it is an all-in-one thing. My couples have their own client portal. They get to see their emails. I get to send forms like, ways to make your elopement day special, or ceremony inspiration. I get to send all those things, and they get to have it all in one place. Also, I have automated workflows. So I send all these emails, and they are customized with code of, the first name in your client's profile. And so it's all customized to them, but I don't have to touch anything. So once the workflow starts, I maybe touch 10% of the emails that I send to my couples, because everything else is just providing them all this information, and I'm able to be efficient that way. And so when they come to me for custom or custom tailored questions, I'm able to text them or email them, and devote my time to those tailored questions. So love Dubsado. You can do payments through it, you can schedule meetings through it, and have them cross-reference to conflicts in your calendar. There are so many amazing things with Dubsado. You just have to check it out. I am not like a Dubsado rep or anything. I just sing its praises because it's so great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we, when we first connected, we geeked out over Dubsado and all the awesomeness that can be there to be able to put things, in place, and to be able to have them automated and do so many things for you, without you having to do each and every time. But I think you touched on it. I call it a hack within a hack, because really getting the time to really be able to serve, from a customized way, because you don't have to worry about those things. If you're sending out the same email all the way, every single time, that takes you away from being to have those relationships, to build, that really strong relationship with the couples that you mentioned. And I think that allows you to really be able to do that when you take those things off your plate.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing that's sort of a hack, a tip that I'd love for people to know, and it's not really well known, and it's not really anything tangible, but it has transformed my business over the last couple of years, is get a brand therapist. And this is sort of a mentorship, but the mentor that I worked with, and still keep in touch with, is Robert J. Hill, and he sort of coined the term brand therapy, because business owners don't have business problems; they have personal problems that affect their business. And really, he dives deep into your why. Why do you do what you do? And it's who are you targeting? And it's not necessarily, for me, I used to have the target, you make that avatar of your target demographic. And it used to be, people between this age and this age wanting great lifestyle photos with a friend or whatever. And that is a great foundation, but it is just the tip of the iceberg. And so he goes through, and I worked with him on personal aspects of my life. What has happened in my life to make me the person that I am, and why does it make me want to do what I do? And there were tears, and I firmly believe if there are not tears during any of your mentor sessions with a brand therapist, there needs to be, because you need to really dig deep. And it has catapulted my level of success. Before, I was maybe doing an average collection booked of about, I don't know, $4,500. And now someone just booked yesterday for $9,500. I'm photographing a couple in Greece, and their top collection was $13,400.
Nice.
And just being able to work through everything like that, I really can serve my couples more. And that really translates, the money is great, but it comes from this genuine need and want to serve. So that's like crazy hack. And I don't even want to call it a hack, because I feel like that's just a super simple, hacks are a little bit more tiny, but this is it's a hack that you go through with a therapist, an unofficial therapist, and it really is transformative.
Yeah, it's so funny. Sometimes the best hacks are really, quote unquote, doing the work and going through those exercises with a brand therapist. As you said, you really get that opportunity to figure out, like, what you're about to do, what you are doing, and you're pouring yourself into, how do you really make the impact that you're hoping to make? And we often think that that starts externally, but I love how you talked about it starts internally. You have to figure out, why are you doing it? What lights you up? And doing those things and those exercises start to manifest itself in the business, and you start to really find your couples, find your tribe, and you really get to serve on an even higher level.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget, and this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something you would tell if you were to tell yourself if you were to hop into a time machine.
Mm-hmm. First I would tell my younger self, really develop your why, and I ended up doing it, but maybe I could have done it sooner. But another big one, and this is actually what I implement with my couples, and I feel like it can be really implemented anywhere with anyone. And it's not to compare yourself, and it's not to follow along because something works for one person necessarily. And how I say that and start off is by telling my couples, telling people I work with, you are unique. There's never been anyone like you. There never will be anyone like you. And statistically, that's true. So even facial features. So let's disregard personality. Let's disregard, your upbringing, everything. Your facial features based on 8 characteristics on your face. So not even 100% identical. The odds of having a doppelganger that match all those 8 features is 1 in 1 trillion.
Wow.
Okay. The amount of people that have ever lived so far is, by comparison, a measly 100 billion, 108 billion. And
Wow.
so the fact statistically that someone looking exactly like you and having the exact, experiences in life, whether it was being judged on your appearance and that's how you, your self-esteem grew or didn't, or how you interact with people and your values and how you were raised, you are absolutely unique and you can't compare yourself to anybody. And I know it's hard because I still do it too. It's a constant fight, but know that you can't compare your race to somebody else's, because you're trying to do the same thing on 2 completely different parameters, and it's not fair. It's not accurate. It's not objective to judge yourself that way. So do your own thing. You are unique. Do the best of your ability, and don't worry about those other people. You can use them for inspiration, but don't get yourself down thinking that you're not where they are or you're not as successful as they are. Do your own thing and find out your own why.
I absolutely love that. And I think we sometimes forget that we put our experiences, our lives, our businesses, whatever, into these boxes of, this is how it has to be, or it needs to be like that because this person did it that way. But I often say myself is, if you run your own race, you'll never lose. And I think so many times we forget that we always are trying to run somebody else's race. And sometimes we're not even aware that we're doing it. Sometimes it could be within human nature. But I love, everything that you just said, obviously, but I love what you do even more, because you help people to kind of rewrite the scripts of their life on a very, very exciting day. And we sometimes forget that that can even take place. So I love, everything that you just said, and obviously what you stand for.
Thanks, man.
And I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Sam, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Oh man, that's a big question. Being a CEO to me, it's a difficult one to answer, because being a CEO in a small business is so many different hats. And so, you're not necessarily overseeing everything. You are in the trenches. You are doing your own marketing a lot of the time. You are doing your own client interactions, all this stuff. So, you're a CEO in the fact that you're making those executive decisions, but you're also carrying them out. So that aspect, is something that people don't think of. CEO is Fortune 500 company, and you've got all these people below you in the work hierarchy, but it can mean a lot of different things. And I think also a CEO is, if you do it right, it can be freedom. I make my schedule, and I am able to serve my clients. While it's amazing, if I don't want to meet with someone at 6 a.m, I don't have to. And so there's that freedom as well. And so just being a CEO is so much more multifaceted than people realize. And if you feel like you're a CEO, call yourself a CEO, because that's not just limited to these higher echelon businesses that have hundreds of employees. It's really you getting in there, doing the work, making those decisions. And if that means you have 100 employees or zero, call yourself a CEO.
Nice. I absolutely love that perspective and that definition, because I think so many times, as you said, we talked about these boxes. Even with that word, sometimes we put it into a box. We say it's this, but in reality, we have that opportunity, just like you can your elopement day, to be able to rewrite the script and change exactly what that looks like and how exactly that manifests itself in your business, with or without employees, and with and without that huge team. You can basically be the CEO and execute on that, create that freedom and that opportunity for so many others.
Heck yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Sam, truly appreciate that. And I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Yeah. My advice is to dig deep. Seriously, I'm gonna go back to it again. Dig into your why, because that's gonna unleash a ton of stuff. Whether you are a photographer or a real estate investor or something, if you're a real estate agent, I highly doubt you're just wanting to provide people a stress-free home buying experience. Really dig into, well, why? Is there something in your life where you wish something was different? Or what do you want them to be able to do in their home? Do you want this to be a paradise for them? Do you want to create more of an experience for them in the home buying process? It's so much deeper than just wanting to give someone a home, or whatever you do in your business. So really, really dig into your why, and I feel like it's gonna unleash some crazy potential that you didn't know was there, and really just let your mind go with it. Get creative. With my brand therapy and digging into my why, I was able to make a book, write a book. I never thought I'd be able to write a book, and here we are. My book's coming out in just a little under a month. And I applied to speak at TEDx, and I'm a TEDx speaker. And you will not realize until it actually happens the possibilities when you dig into your why. So yeah. And if you guys ever have any questions, get a hold of me at samstarns.com or elopeyourlife.com. You can also email me, sam@samstarns.com, and I'm always here to answer questions and help lift you guys up in your own businesses.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much again, Sam. We will have the links and information in the show notes. I love that kind of reminder to be able to dig deep into your why, because we can definitely find out exactly why we're doing what we're doing and really start to move forward in that direction. And one other thing, I'm going to call you Samantha. I told you I would only call you Samantha if I was mad at you. I didn't get a bitchin' or a hell yeah during the interview. Could I get a bitchin' or a hell yeah?
Bitchin', hell yeah.
There we go. So I truly appreciate you again for spending some time with us today and all the awesome work you're doing. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Gresh. You too.